Good evening. It is January 13th at 6 PM, and I call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Dunwoody City Council to order. Councilwoman Lautenbacher, can you lead us in the invocation and the pledge, please?
At this meeting, help us to make decisions which keep us faithful to our mission and reflect our values. Give us strength to hold to our purpose, wisdom to guide us, and a keen perception to lead us. And above all, keep us charitable as we deliberate. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may, I'd like to make a motion to move item 2, Truist Lighthouse Project, to immediately follow item number 1, administration of the oath of office to our police officers. Basically, I'd like to move number 2, the presentation, up before public comment.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No one. Thank you. All right, Chief or Deputy Chief, I don't know who is presenting this because it says my name, but
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Unfortunately, Chief Carlson had to send his regards. He wasn't going to be able to make it tonight, so you are with me. We, as you know, have 4 officers that will take on the responsibilities of policing in Dunwoody. And we're here for the swearing in tonight, so hey, well, let's do, why don't you guys come on up right quick? So while we're talking, Sergeant Chadwick is the first one coming in the door. He comes to us from having 4, almost 5 years in Sandy Springs and 8 years prior in Cobb County. He's followed by Officer Trey Wanstreet, who comes to us from Dawson County Sheriff's Office. And before that worked in Mobile for 2 years. And our third gentleman standing here is Officer Eddie McCorda, and he comes to us from DeKalb County after 4 years. And at the very end is Officer Cedarius Hutcherson, who spent 2 years in the NFL with the Buccaneers and decided that it's time to be a police officer. So here we are. Mayor, you're all up.
good evening. Thank you so much for choosing Dunwoody as your professional home. I'm gonna say a few words and then you can just repeat after me. On my honor, and say your name.
On my honor, I, Austin Chadwick,
Do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Georgia,
the Constitution of the State of Georgia,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Dunwoody, Georgia.
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Dunwoody, Georgia.
I am not the holder of any unaccounted for public money
I am not the holder of any unaccounted for public money
due to the state or any political subdivision or authority thereof,
due to the state or any political subdivision or authority thereof.
I am not the holder of any office of trust under the government of the United States,
I am not the holder of any office of trust under the government of the United States,
any other state or any foreign state which I am,
any other state or any foreign state which I am,
by the laws of the state of Georgia, prohibited from holding.
by the laws of the state of Georgia, prohibited from holding.
I am otherwise qualified to hold the office of a peace officer according to the Constitution and laws of the state of Georgia.
I am otherwise qualified to hold the office of a peace officer according to the Constitution and laws of the state of Georgia.
I will faithfully follow the legal rules, regulations, policies, and procedures
I will faithfully follow the legal rules, regulations, policies, and procedures
of the Dunwoody Police Department in the city of Dunwoody, Georgia.
of the Dunwoody Police Department in the city of Dunwoody, Georgia.
Congratulations. Yeah, you can. Okay, then y'all come this way. Yes.
We'll take one like this first.
We don't want to go somewhere, yeah. All right, don't leave yet. I mean, you can go in the back with your colleagues if you want. So first, I'd like everyone to give them a big round of applause again. We are so incredibly grateful that you chose Dunwoody. We know that there are lots of other communities, but we're quite confident that this is the best place to be in public safety. And to your families, we appreciate you sharing your family members with us. It's a big sacrifice to have a partner, a sibling, a parent in law enforcement, and we are so grateful that you share them with us. And to our entire police team, we appreciate everything you do on a regular basis. And in 2 weeks, you've had a tornado and a winter storm. There's not a lot of colleagues you have that can say that. So you've gone above and beyond as always for our community, and we are very, very appreciative. Congratulations again to the newest members of the Dunwoody Police Department. Our community is thrilled you're here, and always let us know if there's anything we can do. Thank you. And next, I don't know who's presenting.
Deputy Chief?
Deputy Chief is presenting this one.
Well, no, he's walking away. This presentation
Oh.
is for him and the police
Right.
department.
Can someone get DC, please? He might not have heard you move it. Yeah. To the preschooler. That's fine. We made an agenda change. All right. Do we know how this is working? Come on up, Truist Bank.
There you go. I got it. If you,
Okay.
we can
And-
start in a second.
Yeah, we'll give you a second.
Sounds good. If you could start the timer when it happens. to-
No, you don't have to. There's no time limit for this.
I know, but they told me to keep it short like a lot of times.
Oh, okay.
It'll
well-
help me give a gauge.
I'll do this if you need to stop.
Yeah, yes, get up and do that. That works.
Right. Go ahead.
Mayor, city council, respected officers. Wow, there's a lot of you here.
Oh, here comes.
What did you promise
Officer.
them, Teresa? Officer Hernandez, thank you so much. We're here on behalf of Truist Bank. It's me, Ali. We have the branch manager, Catherine. We have Todd Ryman, one of our directors, and we are excited to give a gift to the Dunwoody Police Department. Truist is the 8th largest bank in the country, and the Truist Foundation really emphasizes care about what they want to do, how they want to donate back to the communities. Truist has a program called the Lighthouse Project, and this project is directly targeted towards individuals in the Truist community, teammates, to be able to really find problems in the community and go for solutions, or find something in the community and just make it better. Truist really empowers us to do that because they know how important it is to put that level of care on the kind of local level. This one is from Catherine. This is Catherine's project in the local Dunwoody branch, as well as some of the Sandy Spring branches, and I think maybe even Chamblee was in there. They wanted to do something very important for the men and women behind us there, law enforcement. And so what we're going to do is just really quickly kind of mention a little bit about peer support. So this project is around peer support, and I will get to the jokes, but for 1 minute, I actually have to keep it very, very serious, because when we talk about peer support, and we give just one example, there was actually a case 10 years ago, another city. I knew of the police officers involved, and there was a police officer who had to respond to a child in a pool. And he was the first one there, jumped right in the pool, took the child out, CPR, did every single thing right, and did every single thing that he needed to do. Big, strong, tough guy too, by the way. And long story short, some of the other officers in that moment or later on said that, that was very, it hurt him. Like it affected him. He didn't really show it, but they knew. And coming back, the entire purpose of that is very simple. It's kind of why peer support is very important. I can't ever have that conversation with that individual. None of us here can, to be honest with you. But it's people like Teresa, Lieutenant Dove, that get into the community and help other officers, rather whatever the scenario might be. Financial, someone's financially stressed, someone's having, issues with problems at home, whatever it might be. They are the best people equipped to be able to help those police officers and try to encourage them. So what we wanted to do is kind of, again, try to help the police department in different levels like this. And Teresa and Lieutenant Dove especially do an amazing job. Just to let you know a little bit more about, and Lieutenant Clifton,
Right.
who's back there. And it's actually really, really great. So it's not just limited to Dunwoody. Like Officer Hernandez, they'll go out to other cities. Sometimes when you work for other cities, you don't, want to bring your personal business at work. I believe there's one incident where there was shooting or something with one of the officers somewhere else, and they actually will travel there and talk to other officers in different communities and just make sure they have the support that they need. So we wanted to be able to support them, and we're actually ecstatic, really happy to be able to do this. So now pivoting back to the jokes, getting away from the serious moment, we did a couple of things. Catherine had a great idea. One thing we did was we donated one of those Rogue Fitness rowers. I am not used to this. My cardio, as you guys know, is limited to literally chasing after the soccer ball that I kicked over the fence at Rush Union. But apparently the row machines are very good for cardio. We'll do a little bit demonstration here. I think what Lieutenant Dove will come in. We'll do like 10 minutes intense. We'll bring a couple of buckets of water. Clip them
Okay.
with, dump a couple of buckets of water to make it a real world experience. We'll live stream it. The second thing I think is we offered some food for just the patrol units, just as a area of support. The third thing is we have these backpacks. There we go. They will be embroidered to have Dunwoody peer support in them, and equipped in them are a bunch of variety of different things to be helpful. I think it's medicine bags, different items along those lines, stress balls, which are very, did you get the stress ball? Perfect. Stress balls. Yes. And then on top of that, the final thing was, even with all of that, Catherine and her team still wanted to go a little further. So they wrote, I believe, thank you cards to all the police officers just to make sure they knew they were important. So we appreciate everything you do. We are more than happy to do this for you, and just want you all to know that you're loved, cared about, and we're happy to have done this for you. Catherine is going to say a couple of words.
I'll keep it much briefer. So when I was approached about this program, I knew it was something I wanted to participate in along with the support of Truist. Mental well-being is something that's very dear and close to me. So I reached out to senior leadership, and they were also thrilled to be a part of this program. I don't feel like I did enough, but I do look forward to more partnership opportunities in the future. I just moved to Georgia like 6 months ago, so that was one of my commitments, is to do more for the community with my branch. And so just know, everyone, that your hard work is valued and appreciated. We're grateful for your commitment to protecting our community, and your presence in our neighborhoods is a source of comfort and reassurance. And on behalf of Truist, we want to express our sincerest gratitude for your dedicated service.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you for your service. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, we'll grab a picture real quick. Absolutely.
I'll go over here.
Thank you, Truist, for supporting our police department. We appreciate it and love the partnership. All about partners here in Dunwoody. So thank you very much. All right, next is public comment. I have one card, Laurie Smith. You'll come up, you'll have 3 minutes. Just introduce yourself and you'll have 3 minutes. There's a timer there. Go right ahead when you're ready.
Thanks. Hi, good evening. My name is Lori Smith, and I'm here today to speak about the city's plans to install a 12-foot wide multi-use trail connection between the Cherry Hill Lane and Edson Road communities. The residents of both streets are overwhelmingly opposed to the declared width of the path connection at 12 feet wide. Additionally, neither community favors designating our streets as a calm street pathway, as outlined in segment E4 of the Dunwoody Trail Master Plan, as we value the isolation and calm community we already enjoy. When the residents of Cherry Hill and Edson wish we were never added to this trail master plan, as we do not want new sidewalks, bike lanes that may limit our parking options, nor traffic cushions or speed bumps to the streets of our community. For the designation of bike lanes that might extend from the top of Cherry Hill Lane from Peeler Road through the path into Edson Road, the neighbors are in favor of modifying the route to only paint the bike lane on the Cherry Hill West entrance extending straight onto Edson. I spoke to this council on July 10th of 2023 to share these same comments. As the plan on the city's website reads, the path connection itself is currently planned for a 12-foot width. For the 250 feet of trail that it would be making, that's complete overkill. 2 years ago, when the previous owner of that land donated it to the city, it was with the agreement that it would never be reopened as a street as it originally once was before being closed off in 1986. Yes, there is a dirt trail there that has been there since that road closed, and the neighbors love the idea of the city creating a formal walking path that is landscaped and uniformed with the look of the city. However, a path 12 feet wide, even with the steel bollards, too closely resembles a traffic cut through more than a path. Save the money for streets used as traffic cut throughs like Stonington, where citizens have previously requested traffic calming measures. The grant the city is using for paths requires a minimum of 12 feet. Instead, perhaps the city itself can just pay that for the 1,000 square feet of concrete it would give the citizens what they need, not more than just because it is a grant requirement. Providing a paved trail 4 feet wide would satisfy all parties in favor of the path. In this case, less is more. And thank you.
Thank you. That's the only card I have. There'll be another public comment section at the end of the meeting, should we need it. And Laurie, that branch is still there? Did you notice? Okay, will you send me an email tonight? Thanks. Next, Mr. Linton, it's your report.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And Mayor, I want to start out and go off some of your comments earlier on the storm, the two storms we had, the winter storm and the tornado we had the week before or 2 weeks ago. And I want to thank all the public works and public safety employees that we have. They did an outstanding job this past weekend on getting the roads ready and making sure that our citizens were safe from any ice on the roads. The storm, just so everybody knows, we start monitoring that earlier in the week and we track it very closely. We get preparations made with Public Works and the police. There's a tremendous amount of coordination that goes on with all city staff. And I appreciate the support again of the city council that allows the city staff to be able to move freely to handle these items. And I just wanted to express that thanks to all city employees, especially those that stayed overnight for a couple of nights monitoring the storm. With that, I'll go into parks. We have a new therapeutic recreational program called Adaptive Soccer, led by nonprofit Unique Individual Ranch. That begins in March. There's also an existing therapeutic recreational program, Special Pops Tennis, that will also return for 2025. We have several upcoming events in Parks and Rec. We have Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service coming up next Monday. We have our Black History Month mural exhibit for the entire month of February. February 1st, Valentine photos at Brook Run Dog Park. So please bring your dog for that. We have the Valentine Dance at the North Shallowford Annex on the 8th of February. And then the 21st is Georgia Arbor Day. So quite a lot of events are coming up. I wanted to bring those up individually just so people, citizens know what to look forward to during these winter months. We also have the Two Bridges sculpture was delivered to Brook Run Park maintenance shop in preparation for the January installation. The concrete base is scheduled to be poured this week. So looking at those things, quite a lot going on here. I'm gonna point out the data under parks. We have the Rush Union High School Prep Program saw 31 participants, with more than half of them being Dunwoody High School students. We also have the Dunwoody Community Garden donated a total of 2,432 pounds of fresh organic produce to Malachi's Storehouse in 2024. And we had our holiday lights this year welcome 23,200 visitors through the month of December. So great success within the Parks Department. Under police, we had Sergeant Trey Nelson was awarded the Governor's Office of Highway Safety and Metro Atlanta Traffic Enforcement Network as the 2024 Officer of the Year for his outstanding contributions towards combating distracted and drunk driving. It's a great job.
And we should have him at a meeting to recognize him for
Sure.
that, please.
Sure, we will certainly do that. I know that, DC, is he back there still? If Officer, Feck can let us know, let everybody know as well. Thank you. Also we have, we're also accepting applications for the Spring Citizens Police Academy, which is on Tuesdays from February 18th through May 6th. So please reach out if you'd like to do that program. I did want to point out one thing within the report here, which is our Raven Alert. It was successful in detecting a gunshot off of Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, and there was a shell casing located from that call, from that Raven call, the automatic call. So that is here again, y'all have heard me mention it numerous times before, how technology helps us so much within the police department, and that's just another investment that we've made, and it does pay off. There's a whole stat section there's a link within your report that talks about the crime stats, so please look at that at your leisure. Under Public Works, the Nature Center wetlands restoration and construction began, and the old boardwalk was removed. There's a picture of that within your report. We also publicized a new Adopt a Stream program and had 30 volunteers sign up for training. I know this is something that we've talked about quite a bit with the council, and this is our program that we're unveiling. And it has a lot of excitement around it, I'll say that. The gateway signs, the next sign will be installed, will be will be Roberts Drive, North Shallowford Road, and North Peachtree Road. The power connections are being made through coordination with Georgia Power. And as y'all know, we have two of the big signs up so far, and the one in Georgetown is phenomenal now that the landscaping's in. And I hope the citizens really enjoy that. The other one's in the perimeter area. It's a little bit less noticeable than that one, but it's the same quality and a great marker for the city. We did respond, as the mayor mentioned earlier, to the EF0 tornado on Sunday, the 29th. We had trees down on 15 roads, primarily in the area between Perimeter and Dunwoody High School. Extensive damage occurred around Shamley Dunwoody Road between Womack and Valley View Road. There's a picture of the tornado path within your report. The tornado was on the ground for about 1 minute, and it did cause, like I said, some significant damage to several homes. I think 2 homes of which were destroyed from the trees and wind. Communications, the winter issue of the Dunwoody Digest should have arrived in your mailbox by now. We're also working on the new budget book, and we did, communications did an excellent and outstanding job on the storm and tornado messaging, and we created a special web page and social media messages on this during these events. We did postpone the Waterford Playground ribbon cutting that was scheduled for today. We moved that out until warmer weather. The Youth City Council is starting up, and we have Michael Starling presenting to them on the 23rd of this month. So that is still occurring within that. Also, there are videos and storm damage cleanup, holiday lights videos. We have Georgetown ribbon cutting videos, all within this report. The Inside Dunwoody, which is my newsletter, focused this month on, thank you, council, for my 10 years, being here for 10 years. I appreciate that, and enjoyed every minute of it. So I'm glad to be here. Also, there are other stories. There's a link to other stories from 2024. So we try to put all this information so that citizens can have it at their disposal. And it's a great resource that anybody can look at. Community development, the building official, Donnie Sullivan, received the Field Employee of the Year Award to honor his service. That was awarded at the Employee Appreciation Luncheon in December. And then we have, we're to continue to work on the Direction Dunwoody Comprehensive Plan. And we did have a pop-up event on December 1st at the Holiday Lights event at Brook Run Park, and we got good feedback there. I'm very happy or very pleased with the amount of public input we're receiving for the comprehensive plan and the way we've gone out. If there's any additional things that y'all would like as a council for us to do, please let me know, and we'll add those to the list. The arborist has submitted the application to renew the Tree City USA designation. The city has received this dedication for 10 years now, 12 years in a row. Economic development, The director is going to make a presentation to the state and regional economic development project managers on the Dunwoody office market, or actually made that already to them. As y'all know, the Dunwoody market and the perimeter market is a very hot market within the region. And so everybody's always wanting to understand what our firsthand information is with that. The monthly finance report for November 2024 was published on the city webpage, along with the ARP and the CARES Act web pages have been updated through the end of November. We have all the field work for our external audit will begin Monday, March the 10th, and that's expected to last about 2 weeks. And we also, the city of Dunwoody received their certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting from GFOA and for the 2023 CAFR, or the annual CAFR that we have. So that's a great award, a great honor for that department. We did receive a rebate check from JP Morgan Chase, which is part of our purchasing card program. And one reason we use the P cards is because we got a rebate of $15,722 from that program. That goes back into the city general fund. The conference room and technology upgrades have been made. You'll see that around City Hall. That's to help schedule our meeting offices, meeting in the various locations, Shallowford, Ashford, Magnolia Room, City Manager's Room. So those have all been completed. The city clerk processed 531 open record requests in the month of December. It's a little bit higher than normal, I believe, but that's what we had during the month of December. Municipal court also disposed of 358 cases and reset 30 cases in the month of December as well. I'm glad to answer any questions y'all may have on this report.
Catherine.
Just a comment, I would like to thank Rachel Waldron and the Parks Department for taking on Unique Individual Ranch. Nehemiah Lamb, the executive director, had contacted me to get them in touch, and to bring Adaptive Soccer to our parks is a wonderful thing. You can even bring a sibling with the special needs child. So thank you.
John.
Eric, it's not in the report, but I'm wondering, today is January 13th, the new budget year. And last year we had a item in our budget we approved for $1 million for the upgrade of the soccer field, or the field at Peachtree Middle School. This council, all 7 of us, voted unanimously to leave that $1 million in that account in order to fund that. Can we get an update next month to see where we are in the sense of an RFP or some way that we're moving forward? There's a new school member that's representing this area, and I believe that the school system is looking forward to that improvement. So I'm just wondering where we are as the city moving forward that idea, because again, this council voted for that to move forward. And we had that in the budget last year with no movement. I'd like to see movement on that at some point soon.
Will do.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I had a question about police, but there may not be. Hold on 1 second. I guess it's a bigger picture question, which is people think they hear gunshots, I think, all the time. At least that's what it seems like on social media. And I know we have the Raven system. Do we have that citywide, or is it just in certain corridors?
So the gunshot detection system is set up in the PCID area
Right.
around pretty much around Perimeter Mall.
Mhm.
And we also have it on the east side of the city along the PIB corridor.
Okay. I presume that if someone hears a lot of gunshots, or they think they heard a lot of gunshots, and there's nothing ever said about it, that may not be real. Is that a pretty good assumption?
That is also a good assumption. I think what we've also seen here lately is
Yeah.
that there is a proclivity. We heard it on Christmas Eve, for instance.
Right.
People are now shooting fireworks off on Christmas, which
Yeah.
is a little different.
Mhm.
We certainly respond to every one of those activations on the gunshot systems. It does triangulate to a certain spot that our officers can go to, and then we obviously look for any telltale signs. Most of the times we don't have any. A lot of times the gunshot detection system will go off and detect what it classifies as fireworks, and
Mhm.
it still does the alert. Sometimes it does classify those as gunshots, and, you know, we certainly can't rule out that that happens too. I don't want to say it's a sign of the times, but
Mhm.
to a certain extent it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else? Okay.
Mayor, I'll just jump in
Oh,
real quick.
Uh-huh.
Deputy Chief, there was a story in the news of a 4-year-old being shot at 4 minutes after midnight on New Year's Day, and I believe the bullet came down. Is there any way, do we, as the city, have we ever advertised or publicized the fact of guns at midnight or at any celebration aspect that that's illegal? Have we ever done that? Are you aware? Do you know if does it make sense to do so?
We have done some of those campaigns before. Matter of fact, the DeKalb County Chiefs Association that both Chief Carlson and I are a member of, we have talked about doing a PSA along those lines as well. The crazy part is that, you know, it's one of those phenomenons that we see.
It's just, I can't imagine the horror of that family
Absolutely.
at 4 minutes after midnight, having your daughter struck down from a bullet from above. So again, I just, in
Yes, sir.
relation to the comment that the mayor was making and that asking questions, I figured I would
Mhm.
raise
Certainly.
that issue as well. So just in case we want to do outreach, something, an idea for thought. But thank you.
And to be clear, the 4-year-old wasn't here though, right?
That's correct.
And I do think I've seen a post every now and then about reminding people that we could probably do it more.
What goes up must come down.
Right, exactly. Dear Lord. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
People. All right, next is a consent agenda. Does anybody have questions? Moved by Joe,
Second.
second by Tom. Any questions? Seeing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes unanimously. Mr. Vanicki, I think I can do this one, right, Sharon, or no? Do you need to read the title of this one, or no? You don't need to. It's fine. It's the ARP funding, remaining funding. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This will be a very brief item, but I do want to do some cleanup on the American Rescue Plan grant funding that the city issued 2 years ago. $2 million was allocated by the city council for various not-for-profits in the area to provide services which were needed during that time. As we've done cleanup at the end of this past fiscal year, we had one agency that was not able to obligate all of its fund. It was Dunwoody Nature Center. They tried their best. It just, some of them didn't work. It worked the same with another one. And we'd like to redistribute that to 2 other agencies. Staff internally reviewed those that could have had a good record of record keeping and also expending funds in a timely manner, because we'd actually like to close this project out. And with this last 2, it would close it totally out. The 2 that we're proposing to do is take $25,000 of remaining funding and allocate it to the Community Assistance Center for general assistance and Summit Counseling for direct counseling services. To let you know, Summit Counseling originally received $100,000, but actually gave back $50,000 because they were having a hard time finding counselors a year ago, but now they're much more on pace with that. And with that, this is eligible for your approval tonight, and if so, we'll execute the contracts as soon as we can to spend all money by March 31st.
Anybody have questions? Joe?
Jay, on an administrative perspective, thank you for keeping the website updated, by the way, you know, and on that full transparency on our expenditures and updated. I think it was as of the end of November,
Yeah,
maybe.
all kudos to the finance department on that.
Yeah, thanks. Where are we in general with the ARP funds and getting down to zero balance?
Yeah, actually, I'm probably not equipped to discuss that right now, but we'll get it to you. It's we'll have December closed in about 7 or 8 days. An informal close, but the November number, whatever's posted there, is the most current number with the exception of December expenditures.
So I'm not an attorney and I don't want to bring in national politics to this, but do we have any at risk after
No.
the change?
No,
No?
no, we're good.
All right, thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Tom, second by Catherine. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank
Any
you very much.
opposed? That passes unanimously.
Mayor, the next item is an ordinance to amend the City of Dunwoody zoning classification and map of lot parcel number 0633905004, lot parcel number 0633905001, and lot parcel number 0633905003 in consideration of zoning case RZ 24-02 for 2480, 2526 Mount Vernon Road and 2495 Jet Ferry Road from NS Neighborhood Shopping District zoning classification to C1 local commercial district.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Filling in for our Senior Planner Madeline Smith tonight. This is the second read for that rezoning. First read was in December, where there was a lively discussion, and we have several changes stemming from that meeting. Again, this is a second read, so it is an action item tonight. So what I want to do is I quickly will do for the people in the room, a very brief summary of what this project entails, and then I'll go over the changes one by one. So this is an existing shopping center that's up at the intersection of Dunwoody Club and Mount Vernon Road, and then backs up to Jet Ferry Road in the back. It's 3 existing buildings that are shown here. There's a 4th building in that triangle. That's the Café Kramer. That is not part of this rezoning request. And compared to the typical zoning cases that you all see, where there will be new construction, this project will not include any construction. This is just a reuse of the existing facilities, so there won't be an increase in square footage or new buildings. What this is, it's supposed to increase the leasing options for the property owner that is having a hard time refilling that anchor space here at 2480 Mount Vernon Road, which was recently the Lidl grocery store. What is part of this, you can see this on the right-hand side here, is that they're proposing parking lot improvements that include improved pedestrian connections from all 3 streets to the shopping center, new landscaped islands with trees. A few parking spaces will have to be removed because of the right-of-way line that are encroaching into the right-of-way. And then last month we had a conversation around lighting. The applicant has committed to improving the site lighting as well and upgrading it to current standard LED lighting. This is reflected in the zoning conditions, and these conditions that I'm highlighting here were part of the package. There will be one additional proposed condition that's not part of the package that I've distributed before the meeting to your desks, and I'll have it as part of this presentation as well. I'll go over those changes one by one. First one is a relatively minor change to the allowed uses, and it is for the animal care or animal boarding use, is to change that to indoor only. The applicant has agreed to this. The applicant has agreed to all those proposed conditions at this point. They're also present and can answer any questions about this. Second small addition here, that this is updated to reference the bike parking standards so that they would meet bike parking standards on site, which for a shopping center of this size is currently 8 parking spaces, so 4 bike racks. The lighting condition, again, the applicant has committed to, based on safety concerns that were mentioned by people speaking at the last meeting, to upgrade the lighting. This is an entirely new condition that you see here. What they've committed to is to upgrade the existing lighting on site, the existing poles with new fixtures. So this is not a complete redo of the lighting on site, but it is for the fixtures specifically. And that's both for the parking lot and in the breezeway, sort of between the 2 sides of the building. The trigger here, that is the same trigger as with the parking lot improvements, is if they are successful at leasing out that space, it is by them obtaining a certificate of occupancy, so that all construction is completed. They need a certificate of occupancy to move in and open it to the public. By that point, the site lighting would have to be completed as well. Should that not be successful, which is what we're hoping, but even should that not be successful, they have committed to do that after another year, so up to within 2 years, we'll have updated site lighting. There's these conditions A, B, C, and D that you see here. These are straight from our lighting code. We've done it this way here instead of just referencing the lighting code, because we do not want to require them to install new light poles if necessary. Again, this is sort of a update of the existing infrastructure. And then Councilman Seconder has over the weekend worked on this condition, has worked with the applicant on improving the pedestrian access to the site. And we've drafted another zoning condition here. So with this one, I would like to add, and I've titled this here, Amendment Needed. This is not part of the ordinance that we've distributed because it was just finalized today. So it would need to be part of the motion, or it would need to be an amendment to a motion that's made to incorporate this condition. So this condition references the pedestrian improvements and describes them here. Again, the trigger is the same by a certificate of occupancy or within 2 years. It requires 5 pedestrian access points. I'll switch back and forth between this and the map to show those in a bit more detail. You have both of those in front of you, so just put them next to one another. So it's access points on Mount Vernon Road, and Dunwoody Club Drive, and Jet Ferry Road. And they're as follows here. You can see the areas where there are changes made compared to the existing status highlighted in gray. So you have 2 pedestrian access points off of Jet Ferry Road. You have 2 access points off of Dunwoody Club Drive. You have 1 access point off of Mount Vernon Road. And these are all sidewalk type connections from the sidewalks on the streets to the building itself. We have condition number 2 here, and that's in front of the anchor building, in front of that former grocery store building. The current situation is that there's the drive aisle butts up right against the building, so there isn't a safe walking environment. The way the grade works with the building prohibits the applicant, without sort of major investment, to install a raised sidewalk here. What this condition proposing instead is to demarcate a sidewalk that is against the building and demarcate that with what's labeled here as vertical delineators, which is protective bollards. So like the stripe area, but it's not just stripe, there are actual obstacles in the way that protect pedestrians and protect people who are coming out of that facility. There's condition number C, which ties these improvements to the design requirements we have in the code, and that's section 27-2094, which is the design requirements for pedestrian improvements within sites. We put different wording in here, like from a lighting standpoint, we do not want to condition them on having to install new light posts. So that's why you see that reference in here. And then D, we have the connection from Mount Vernon Road to the building is number 1, sort of it's the closest to the anchor. to the anchor building there. It also is where we have a proposed multi-use trail on Mount Vernon Road that will eventually connect all the way into the Dunwoody Village and Perimeter Center. The connection between Mount Vernon Road and the anchor building, right now we have a condition in here to have that that crossing of the southernmost drive aisle that you see here to be that raised crossing. There's concerns there about cut-through traffic, so a raised crossing will reduce the speed of that, and it makes it a very high quality, comfortable, and safe pedestrian access point. So again, I want to emphasize that should the council wish to adopt that condition, to make that part of the motion or make that a amendment to the motion. The second is that we have this plan that's in front of you updated as of today to reflect those changes and to incorporate that into the ordinance. Would also replace the Exhibit B, which is the old plan titled as you see on the screen here, with the new plan again titled as you see here. So what this does is simply that it takes out the plan that was initially submitted and replaces it with the plan that's currently submitted, and that would have to be part of the motion as well, or an amendment to it. It's not part of the staff conditions. And then last point, there was some conversation at the last meeting about opening hours. And there was a planning commission proposed condition that is not part of what was part of your packet. So should you all wish to incorporate a condition like that, that would have to be added as well. And with this, I'd like to conclude my presentation. Ready for any questions. Branch has several representatives here as well. And again, this is an action item tonight.
Yes. So I just want to clarify that the applicant has agreed to these conditions.
That is correct.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? And this is an action item. Okay.
And this is really doesn't have anything to do with it in front of us, but with the bike parking places and the lighting being in our code, when would that have been triggered anyway? Like if they're making those changes to the plan, why wouldn't have that been?
Because this one is an unusual rezoning because it doesn't incorporate any new development. We have these triggers in there that are when there's new development or a significant increase in the square footage of a building.
So even the change in zoning wouldn't trigger it. Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say a big thanks for staff and the folks from Branch for being flexible, last minute, meeting on site. Council member Tom Lambert, we met there just literally this afternoon at 12:45 p.m. Walked the site. So I really want to thank staff for going way above and beyond for that. We want this to be a successful project. We want it to be lively and thriving. I live 1,000 feet away or less than that from this place. I walked there to meet the folks there. So again, thank you for staff for putting this together and the flexibility for Branch. And I look forward to the success in the very near term for you all.
John?
Unintended consequences. So far, I'm good with everything that has been discussed and what's proposed with these proposed changes and having the applicant approve everything. So far, I'm good with everything. I just have questions. We are doing a rezoning for a large piece of property, and we're talking about the Lytle space and that whole complex there, but we're also talking about the bank, correct? We're talking about the bank. That bank has a drive-through. Tell me how the SLUP aspect for, there's currently a drive-through at that bank. If I wanted to change it and put, I don't know, Taco Bell, can the applicant do that at will, or does the SLUP go away? There's also parking requirements for drive-throughs for stacking. Banks only require 4, other restaurants full service requires 6. Explain to me how the applicant is going to be able to change the bank property to either to use the drive-through, not use the drive-through, or the modifications needed to come back to us for an approval.
So we added, when we did the changes to the code for the drive-through requirements, we added a drive-through as a separate use category into the table. So the drive-through isn't tied inherently to the bank use. Should the bank be reused to a different use, the drive-through still remains as a non-conforming land use that's in place.
But it might be non-conforming in the sense of the stacking wouldn't be large enough for a restaurant. So therefore, why would we allow that?
And then if that's the case, and I do not have the requirements in front of me, like if the drive-through has to be expanded, it would require a special land use permit. That is sort of if the aspects, the dimensional aspects, or if the use intensity of the drive-through gets extended, then it may have to get a special land use permit separately.
All right, I'm confused. I don't want to approve this without knowing exactly what the legal ramifications are if there's going to be changes to that property. I just want to make sure I understand what we're approving and what is the possibility down the road. And you're saying that if we approve this tonight.
So there's no changes to any existing facilities. So there isn't, like, existing facilities can continue in perpetuity. They're
Okay.
sort of like a legal non-conforming
Right,
status.
I get that.
Now, if a land use gets extended, let's say if there is a land use that has a certain use intensity and that land use wants to extend, that cannot happen sort of without additional authorization.
But we're authorizing restaurants. So if the bank changes to a restaurant, is that allowed? The answer is probably yes. But as far as the drive-through, how does that change the drive-through usage?
So the drive-through cannot be expanded without obtaining a special land use permit.
But the drive-through would stay as is, but not expanded.
So it depends how it all interacts. Like it's tough for me to say kind of without having the details in front of me. It's generally that non-conforming use cannot be expanded.
So when something is non-conforming, generally speaking, in order to change the uses, it has to become conforming, correct?
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the neighborhoods, for example, that have private streets because they were built they used the street as part of the lot size to become conforming back in DeKalb County days. If they want us to take the street, then their properties would become non-conforming and it would have all kinds of complications for any future changes of their home, correct? That's how I've understood it.
Yeah, correct. And we have this, for instance, like with the stream buffers. Stream buffers are a good example where the stream buffers didn't exist when lots of houses were built, and then the stream buffers came into place. Like any improvements can stay in perpetuity, but new improvements in that area need extra authorization.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, this is an action item, but we need some procedural, probably guidance. Go ahead, Joe.
I just want to, Paul, let me ask you this. This sheet, besides what you're asking tonight, the sheet marked as page 10, added condition, those have been agreed to by the applicant as well?
That's correct.
And is that correct? And this needs to be amended into your request tonight if the council wants to consider either one of those, either in whole or in part. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. So in this case, like condition 5 would need to be added to the 4 proposed conditions. And then exhibit B would have to be replaced with the new exhibit B.
So can you put on the screen what is the actual conditions that not the amendment, but the original conditions that have been agreed to? So essentially what the ask is tonight, it sounds like, is to vote on the staff recommendations and add to the staff recommendations if the council chooses page 10 conditions. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's to add condition number 5 as shown on this slide number 9, and then to replace,
Well, let me stop you. The sheet that I have is not slide 9. It's,
Yeah, it is. 9 and 10.
okay, I only have 10.
Nope, you have 9.
It's the top and bottom.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got you. 9 and 10.
and then to exchange exhibit B to how it reads on the bottom of slide 10.
So Madam Mayor and Council, if the council so chooses to move this item with all the conditions, included the added 9 and 10, it could be in one motion to approve the staff recommendation plus the amended conditions, the added conditions in slide 9 and slide 10 as one motion, if that's what you also choose, or you can move them separately and amend them separately, whatever you'd like.
Ready?
Ready?
I move to approve with adding the amendment of number 5 condition as presented by staff on slide number 9, and to add the condition of, from slide number 10, replacing with new exhibit B schematic site plan titled site plan site improvements completed by branch dated January 13th, 2025.
To the original staff recommendations.
To the original staff recommendations.
I understand it. Does the clerk understand it?
Okay, so that's it.
Second.
Moved by Joe, second by Tom. Any further discussion or questions? John?
I'll ask the applicant to make comments regarding my questions regarding the
Okay.
drive-through. Would the applicant have any input as to what the staff recommendations were? I just want to make sure I understand what I'm voting on.
Regarding the drive-through, it's my understanding that restaurants require different stacking lengths than banks, right?
I do.
So if I bought the bank building and I was gonna put it in a restaurant, I could keep the building the way it is, but I can't use the drive-through because I don't meet code requirements for stacking. So in order to make that change, I would then have to apply for a special use permit showing that I meet all the code requirements, and I'm sure there are other things that restaurants require as well that banks don't, in order to be able to use the drive-through.
So banks, looking at code section 27-211, banks require 4 spaces per teller window for the stacking space. And restaurants for a single drive-through is 8 spaces, multiple drive-throughs, which I believe this is multiple, has 6. So it would require 6 stacking spaces.
I'm not an engineer, but that sounds right. There certainly will be different. I suspect that if a drive-through type of restaurant that you're thinking of wants to go there, they're gonna want to tear the building down anyway, because they're not gonna be able to repurpose that bank building for a restaurant.
And to the best of your knowledge, the applicant believes that the property there, the bank is stable and not going anywhere, right?
Yes, no, actually, it's a welcome, steady tenant at the moment. Yes,
Great, thank you very much.
thank you.
Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. And we are on. Thank you all applicants. Thank you, Brand. There's not a name by number 8. I just caught that. Okay, you're here. I didn't look up first. I apologize. I didn't look up first.
Well, yes, I forgot to put my name there.
Okay. No action, right. There's
No action is my name.
Right.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to present the supplemental agreement for the project framework agreement with GDOT for the North Charlottesville Road path. The original PFA, which is the project framework agreement, was executed in August 31 of 22. And this was for the design budget of $700,000. 560 of that was federal, 140 was the local match. Since then, the city has requested additional design funding from ARC. We received $400,000. And so that coupled with the local budget funding of $450,000 will complete final plans. So I'm here to request approval from council to execute the supplemental agreement for the additional funding.
Anybody have any questions? Joe?
So Michelle, thanks, eagerly supporting this, and enthusiastically. So at the end of the day, we're saying that, we needed more money
Yes,
to do the initial,
to do the design work, yes.
design work.
Yes,
Okay. And this is gonna get us to the design?
yes,
completion?
this will get us to the final
Got it.
complete plans.
And then I'm just shooting from this hip here. I noticed on the exhibit A on the lap notification letter, there's a little, gotta zoom in. I was following the graph, the totals there. So this from, I'm just asking for like our local funding match or SPOS funding. We're not using anything right now, what you're asking for SPOS for the current design, right?
No, we have $560,000 of federal funding and we have 140 because there's a match that
Okay.
goes with that.
And then for this, but the second part, the
So for the
transportation
second
cost.
part, it's $400,000 and the match is 20%, which is 100,000, but our budget is complete of 450,000, the city budget.
Cause I was looking at that comment, the column shows 450K on that exhibit A. It's just kind of confusing to me. It's just the way I read numbers in the spreadsheets and stuff. So I just, yeah.
So our local funding number, our budgeted number, it will encompass the first PFA, the first local match, the second, any contingencies, that type of,
Right.
so it's a complete number.
And bottom line, we've got this budgeted if we, in
Yes, we
SPOS,
do.
right? Sure. Right. And then, secondary question, just as an aside, is this the same kind of hurdles from a federal funding level as we are doing over at Winters Chapel as well, when
Yeah,
it
so you'll
comes
see
to?
me back again for Winters Chapel and Chamblee Dunwoody.
So they're
Yeah,
both
so we'll
qualified.
get supplemental
Chapel.
agreements for those also.
Okay, so it's gonna be a long, drawn out process.
It's federal money.
Yeah, okay, all right. Thank you, thank you,
welcome.
Michelle.
John?
Michelle, Shalford Road is supposed to be with the main access point for the express lanes going in both direction for the project 10 years from now, whatever it's going to be. I've heard bus rapid transit and other ideas. I guess this design aspect will take all that in consideration in sense of the throughput for future needs of Shalford Road. Are we looking to contract the size of Shalford in order to put this trail on?
We're not changing the actual lane widths or else the throughput, the capacity. This is strictly a path project.
Okay, so
So it's bike ped.
we're using the side of the road. We're not expanding into the road as far as we know.
We will not be, there are some areas where we'll probably take, if there is a bike lane existing, we'll use that if we have a path already that we're putting in. So, there'll be some areas like that. There might be some areas where we put medians in. We're not through the concept yet. So we're still in that, like data gathering stage. So we'll have a concept that we'll present to you.
Again, we have lots of questions regarding these express lanes and how it's going to impact the city. And I just want to make sure it's on your thought plan for all improvements going anywhere near that. Thank you.
I have the same kind of big picture concerns, not concerns, because I actually think this project is good for what the top end mayors have been working on for the last many years on the connectivity part, the trail connectivity part of the managed lane project. It's just that I'm not confident that the design we're seeing now in terms of the 285 stuff through Dunwoody is the design that's actually going to be built. And so we'll need some flexibility. I think in theory, we'll know in the next 3 years what, because there was one model that Shalford kind of dead ends, like the access is right there. And there's another model where Shalford is the way it is now, still goes under. So we'll just have to keep our eyes on all that as we work towards this project. So, okay.
Understood.
Consent. Is everybody okay with this consent? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gates.
Mayor, council. I'll bring before you a discussion on replacement of the HVAC rooftop units that we have for air conditioning and heating of this building. We advertised a solicitation for request for qualifications. This is RFQ 24-05, City Hall HVAC rooftop unit system replacement due to increased mechanical costs to repair and inability to stabilize the HVAC system when it comes to the heating and air conditioning system. Addison Smith Mechanical Contractors Incorporated submitted the lowest responsible proposal at $399,592 plus $9,489 add for an enhanced integration control system. The current 3 rooftop units were initially installed back in 2005. City staff have identified 3 potential funding sources for this project. Option 1 would be funds from SPLOST 1 and 2. Option 2 would be funds from the General Capital Project Fund. And option 3 would be funds from the general fund. The city acquired the services of CPS, which is an engineering architectural firm to support us on this project. They were to provide, and they did provide, a turnkey solution for technical support evaluation, interviews, proposal rankings. They provided us a recommendation, and they also will oversee the installation of the project. I have reviewed their recommendation and the process that was used, and I concur with their findings. So staff is seeking feedback from the council for recommendation involving the source of funds to be used for this project. We also will ask and recommend that you respectfully request that you authorize the mayor, city manager, and or designee to execute all documents necessary and proper for a contract in the amount of $409,081, which includes the HVAC rooftop units plus an enhanced integration of controls, and authorize a 10% contingency. We have Everett Johnson and his staff here to address technical questions
Okay.
at this stage.
All right. So do we ask questions and then I'll poll council on funding? Does anyone have technical questions? As Stacy sits here wrapped in a blanket. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I just, I noticed the RFQ, called for a recommendation or requested, a gas heat unit. I guess we currently have electric, and that proposal from Addison Smith is for electric, but the RFQ called for gas. So can you walk me through the decision-making process or thought process of, were we looking to upgrade to gas, and why the decision was made to remain electric?
Hey, good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, my understanding is during the site walk for the bidders, when they arrived, there was direction from staff to maintain the electric as you have today. So deviating from the request from qualifications package. So that's where we ended up why they submitted the package in the way they did. And both firms did the same.
Their performance, significant performance differences. I'm not an HVAC expert, so I don't, but are there significant performance differences between gas and electric, or operational costs, or how long it lasts, or anything like that?
No, not significantly. And in fact, it would require additional infrastructure at this point, right, to convert over to make that change.
John.
John, can you tell me how many units do we have in total? I know the ones on the roof is what we're talking about, but are there other units in the back? Are there other units that were in good shape? Tell me about the whole system as a whole. The reason I know what I'm thinking about is what's the separate business there that's in the back? They have their own units. So how many units do we have? We're only replacing 3. Are we looking at the whole system or just those 3? Go ahead. You can add by any, but
Sure, yeah. So yeah, we are replacing the 3 main rooftop units.
Okay.
And then there is the addition of a 3-zone mini split system for the PSR space.
So I guess my question is, how many units do we have in the building in total? Do we have other units in the back, or is those are just the?
There is one existing other unit that I'm aware of that provides separate conditioning for the IT room, since you want that.
Okay,
Fail,
correct.
right, if you lose power. So it's on its own dedicated. To my understanding, that is all of the units. So you basically are replacing the full system.
All right, I guess I'm thinking of the MRI units. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, that's right. And so what the council member is talking about is the MRI lease space at the end of the building does have 2 or 3 additional units for that space, but those are not part of this package. What we have is this package. One of the units, I can't remember which floor of the 3 units, the one's an original unit from 1995. It's my understanding. The other 2 are 2005 units. So they're older. We do have some mini split, including one in here that are supplemental units and also for the IT. But we're looking at the main 3 units, the big units. And what I wanted to be sure of, and that's why I wanted to have CPS here to focus on, is I said, at the end of the day, we want to be able to hit the switch and it works properly. So whatever needs to happen for that to work, that's what they've been conditioned to do. And we're fortunate that the bid that Mr. Gates has presented does have, it is a train system that's going to go in from a professional, contractor that we're looking at. So from that standpoint, I believe that we're doing that. The other thing is too, and I asked Eric Johnson to be here tonight because he was here when we originally renovated the building. And that was it wasn't any work of his, it was part of the bid. That was one of the weaker systems, was the HVAC when we put the building package together, because we were using the existing systems and we did make some adjustments, but it needs to be supplemented with new units at this point.
But I guess my reason for asking is, are there holes in the system that aren't going to be covered, where the building's not going to be covered? The IT is a great one. Do they have its own system separate from these 3? And what's the status of those? That's in good shape, I
Right,
imagine?
yeah, those are new. So any of the mini splits are new. We've put them in since we've been in this building.
Okay.
So those are newer units there. And I believe one of those mini splits may be on the generator. Correct me if I'm wrong, though, if we know, for the IT, to keep it cool.
Okay. Is there any special filtration aspects? This is a public building, public spaces, police department aspect. Is there any filtration upgrades or anything in that realm that we're doing at the same time?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, just wondering. All right, thank you. No other questions?
Joe.
John or Eric, what was this, we just recently approved our budget for 2025. I mean, it's a long run up for budget 2025. Was this process started after we approved our 2025 budget? Because I would have imagined having this expenditure, if we had known, 9 months ago, I would imagine we would have just adopted it into our 2025 budget.
Right, and that's a great question. This did come out of the 2025 budget from the standpoint of looking at the maintenance costs for the current systems. So as we were going through the budget, we were saying, hey, what is it costing to maintain that system? And also the fact that the system goes down numerous times during the hot weather. During the cold weather, we don't notice it much because the heat doesn't run that often. It's mainly an air conditioning system. And it has heat strips, electric heat strips that go with the system. But on any given day, the HVAC or the HV system is running. But to answer your question in whole, we did look at it after the budget to try and say, hey, what's the best use of the city money long term? We felt it was better to go ahead and bid out. When we started, I said, let's bid it out. Let's see what we get. When Mr. Gates bid it out, he was very happy with the prices that came back. To say, hey, look, this is worth presenting to the council. And that's why we are here today.
I have to imagine you also looked at, we're gonna have, I'm sure we have to have a higher SEER rating, energy efficiency, so that our electric bill should be reduced, right? Is that a fact?
In theory, yes.
Theory. Oh, I replaced my 20-year-old HVAC when I first moved in with the top of the line, and I definitely see.
But Councilmember, you are correct.
Yeah,
It is gonna,
so financially,
standards, yes.
operationally, budget wise, and just because it's all electric, actually, we're reducing our carbon footprint by not relying on natural gas. And eventually, everything's gonna go clean energy. It's electric and it's solar, wind, and whatever power. So there you go for forward thinking. I could spin on that one. Are we gonna talk about the funding source second?
Once we answer
Okay.
technical questions,
All right,
because it's
sure.
different. Everybody have their technical questions answered. I just would like it to work consistently. Will this fix the unevenness in the building? Does that make sense? Where sometimes our offices are burning up and sometimes they're not, I guess.
It will improve it, but we are working on additional assessment to
Okay.
bring forward to you guys to do a more thorough look at why is your office cold and your office hot, so that we can go through and explore where are the breakdowns from unit to office.
Right, thank you. Okay. All right, so we had 3 choices in funding. Option 1 is SPOSS, option 2 is General Capital Project Fund, and option 3 is unassigned fund balance. That's my least popular one, is number 3. But so go ahead.
What does staff recommend? I mean, I have my own opinion,
Sure.
but I would actually like to know what
Right.
your all's thoughts are.
We put them in the order of recommendation. We're recommending number 1, which is the SPOS purchase. And the primary reason I like to use the SPOS is it's a restricted fund, and this is a capital improvement that's allowed under SPOS. So therefore, I would always use your restricted money first. So that's where that is. And we've laid it out for SPOS 1, which is remaining of 338, and then SPOS 2, which is part of out of the capital outlay of $70,000 for a total of 409.81 to spend on this area. So that's our recommendation.
Go ahead,
This
Catherine.
last one has a deadline, is it to be
No.
used? It
No,
does
there's
not.
no deadline. I had the same question I asked of staff, and there is no deadline on that, because I thought there may be, but there's not.
So we just are gonna use the oldest first.
Yeah, no, and I just agree with the thing, and you were on the same line that I was thinking, that dedicated, like, funds that are restricted, let's use those for their purposes that qualify first, so that the other funds we have more flexibility with for other things we need.
Mhm. Is it, and so my perspective also is that SPOS, we estimate what we're gonna get from SPOS and it can grow, whereas the other 2 funds, they're not growing. And so this allowed, and we still have to spend the SPOS money on the restricted things, so I'm all for that. Does anybody object? Seeing none, that's the way to go, is SPOS, the first one. That's your guidance, and we can do consent with this, I think? Yeah. Yes, thank you, when you're ready. Consent, thank you, Mr. Gates. Tiffany's here, I can see in the mirror.
Right, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to present the Meadow Lane Crown Point Parkway roadway lighting project and request approval of the lighting services agreement with Georgia Power. Public Works maintains a streetlight project priority list that tracks streetlight projects throughout the city. Each streetlight project is evaluated based on crash history in the area, demonstrated demand, and suitability. Each of these metrics are scored, which then provides a total score for the project. The table shows the current streetlight projects priority list, and the project that we are presenting is the one highlighted in red. The crash score for this project is higher than some of the other projects on this list, and the city has received several requests from the public, including PCID, to help improve visibility in this corridor. So, you should have the layout, but on the PowerPoint, I did specifically highlight the lights that we're talking about. So this project, the Crown Point Parkway and Meadow Lane lighting project, begins at Perimeter Center West, which can be seen on the bottom left side of either the layout or the PowerPoint, and goes just east of Perimeter Center Place, which can be seen on the right side of the layout. Additionally, this is situated north. The photometric design shown consists of 16 double head roadway median lights, which are shown in red, and 8 pedestrian post top mounted lights, which are shown in blue. The pedestrian lights are focused mainly on the north side of the roadway because this is where the majority of pedestrian travel was identified. Also, these lights are primarily at driveways to increase safety for pedestrians and drivers. The light fixtures that will be installed are the PCID green standard fixtures, which can be seen on the PowerPoint slide. Both of these lights shown are actually existing lights located on Perimeter Center Parkway. This project funding will be split with PCID 50-50. There are funds designated in the ARPA 2 fund for public safety and lighting that can be used for the city's half of the installation cost. Thank you.
I have a question. So in the memo, the cost is roughly $300,000. Is that our half or is that?
That's a total.
Okay. Ooh. So how much is left in the ARPA fund for streetlights? Do you know? Or is this the end of it? Here comes Richard.
Yeah, $500,000 as of today. So spending 150 of 350,000 left.
So would it be possible to go ahead and do Ashford Center Parkway? Is that the one that goes to the library? Thank you. I'm so good at this. Because we get a lot, we've gotten many requests for that. People have come to our meetings, the neighborhood with the bus stops in the morning. No, we'd have to pay for the whole cost of that, but maybe we could you get us a cost on that just for a future decision?
Yes.
Right, Ridgeview's not, but Ridgeview is, I'm so confused. Where is Ridgeview?
So I don't.
Oh, I thought it was.
One of the reasons we haven't done anything with Ashford Center Parkway yet is there's funding in this year's budget to design a path on Ashford Center Parkway. And so we want to, probably that should be done together, but we at least want to see the design before we put streetlights in.
Ridgeview is what's up with Ridgeview? I know it's not in the CID.
Right. Ridgeview, I guess Ridgeview is broken up, so I'm not sure which piece of Ridgeview you're talking about, but the piece that connects to Crown Point Parkway, that piece, half of it is in PCID and half of it is not.
Okay.
So that would be a cost factor as well.
Okay. Well, I'm excited about these projects. It's a nice start. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a comment and it's a little tangential. It's not directly related to this, but I spoke with Michael, so I'm not throwing you a complete curveball here. It's actually really, I'm going to direct this towards Eric. I'd like to, since we're talking about street lighting, I know this falls under our commercial street light policy, but our residential was really just picked up from DeKalb County. And I'd like to request that at our retreat this year, staff present a presentation on our commercial street light policy, and we consider maybe making some amendments to that.
Commercial or residential?
I'm sorry, residential. Because I do feel that street lighting is a public safety issue, and I would feel much more comfortable being able to guide those decisions rather than just only putting them in neighborhoods that are willing to pay for them. I think there are ways to improve the way the system is, and I just like to have that discussion.
Absolutely. We can add that to the list.
And I remember I did have a question. Thank you, Tom, for reminding me what it was. So the ongoing cost for this goes into the commercial streetlight special assessment district. So it really is, other than the initial outlay, there's no ongoing cost to the city. Am I reading that correctly?
That's my understanding.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anybody else? Consent? Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comments? No public. City manager comments.
No additional comments, Mayor. No executive session.
council comments? I want to take a minute to reiterate what we said earlier about Public Works. I think some of them are still here. And public safety and communications for doing a really good job with the first measurable snow we've had in 7 years or something, 6 years, 7 years. And so, and what? And a tornado 2 weeks before. So there's some old Southern wise tale that if you have snow after 3 days, you're going to have snow again within 10 days and there's still snow on the ground. But I don't believe that. Just say we're done. But thank you all for everything you did, everybody that worked hard to make sure that we kept everything safe. Good job. Anything else? Unless there is, I need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Joe,
Second.
second by Tom. Any discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Nice job.